Hey guys, Frosty Knives here, back with another book review, and today we are going to be returning to the town of Castle Rock to talk about the brand new book by Stephen King called Wendy'S Button Box. And so Wendy'S Button Box is a novella written by Stephen King and Richard Chizmar. That's an author that I am unfamiliar with. It's a novella. It clocks in at 170 pages, I believe it is. 170 pages. And it stars 12-year-old Gwendolyn Peterson. And the story takes place in Castle Rock, in a 10-year time frame between the summers of 1974 and 1984. And in 1974, 12-year-old Gwendolyn Peterson is spending her summer vacation running up the suicide stairs to the top to Castle View. She is running because she's trying to lose weight. And so she runs up the 307 stairs that go up to Castle View every day. And one day she meets a man who gives her a button box. Now, I'm not going to divulge too many secrets about this, but she sits down, she talks with this fellow, and he entrusts to her a button box. Now, the button box is an interesting little thing. It's got 9 buttons and 2 levers on the side. The lever on the left-hand side dispenses little chocolate treats. The lever on the right-hand side dispenses uncirculated mint 1891 Morgan silver dollars. And there are 9 colored buttons. 7 of the colored buttons, each one corresponds to a different continent. The red button will correspond to anything that Gwendy wants. And the black button, he tells her never to touch. And so he entrusts her with this box. And then he disappears. And now we have a story. And it's basically in this 10-year frame of Gwendy growing up and having this button box. And the button box, in her life, it changes her life. It's really sort of the old Spider-Man adage, with great power comes great responsibility. And what do you do with this button box? And we see how it changes her life and the lives of her family and her friends and the people around her. And it changes her life sometimes for the good, and changes her life sometimes for the not so good. Really good things sometimes happen to her. Not so good things happen maybe to some of the people around her. And it's sort of an ethical dilemma of should I use this button box? Should I not use this button box? What happens if I press this button? At one point, she does press a button, and then something happens, and she blames herself for thinking that she pressed the button, and then this event happened, and she's the one who caused it. And you're not really sure that there's a direct correlation between actually pressing the button and what happened in the real world. That's left sort of vague, and there's this insinuation that maybe she did it, maybe she didn't, but she thinks she did, and so she basically wrestles with the button box, and she basically keeps it safe for a period of 10 years. I'm not going to divulge the big reveal of who the mysterious stranger is, although any Stephen King fan worth their salt will immediately recognize who it was that has given her the button box. So I will leave that special revelation to you when you read it. It's quite entertaining. It's quite satisfying. So overall, it's a neat story. It's a novella. It's not too long. I read it in one sitting. It's very easy to read. It's a very neat story. It's good to see certain people coming back. It's good to see Castle Rock again, even though we don't really see much of the town, but we know it takes place through the 70s and the early 80s. And 1 or 2 characters from Castle Rock sort of pop in and out. Makes mention of Sheriff Bannerman, which is kind of nice since he bit the dust in Cujo. And just sort of little tidbits about the town that we haven't seen in a while because we haven't had a Castle Rock story in a while. There are some neat artist work in here. There are pictures. The book does have pictures. And there's some really cool art in the book as well. And this was published, I think it's some type of limited edition through Cemetery Dance Publications. But I picked this up through my local library just to read. But overall, this is a quick and fun read. There's nothing truly horrifying in the story. There's nothing, violent or disgusting or, your typical Stephen King fare. Nothing, no boogeymen, no things that jump out in the middle of the night. It's more of a, moral, ethical dilemma of how an object or something that you're given or that you're fixated on or that you're addicted to, how it can change your life, how it can change the lives of people around you, for good and evil, for better, for worse, for whatever the case may be. Just being entrusted with something that you think is powerful, that you think holds importance, how that could change your life and change your perspective and change your attitude and change who you are, and change what goes on around you. So I would recommend reading this book. I tell you, it's a very good palate cleanser after reading the horrendous slog that was Sleeping Beauties. I needed something like this to cleanse the palate, and this did the trick. So Wendy'S Button Box is a really fast, interesting, really good read. I would recommend it. I would pick it up and I would read it. If nothing else, you'll get a smirk and a smile out of it, seeing one or two, the big revelation of who handed the button box to Gwendy. But overall, I thought it was a really cool book. I'm not familiar with Richard Chizmar. After this, I may go and find some of his work and read it and to see how he is on his own. But overall, since I like to give ratings to things, for a novella and for a nice quick read and for a Stephen King novel, out of 5, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I thought it was cool. I thought it was easy to read, good story, a nice turn of events from the slog that I had just read through. And so I would highly recommend it. I think it's a good and easy read. You could read it in an afternoon, and something I think you should probably definitely have in your collection. So guys, here's my review of Wendy'S Button Box by Stephen King and Richard Chizmar. And hope you liked the review. And as always, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. And until the next time, I'll see you in the next video.